This is Jean Beauvoir, and you're on BackstageAxxess.com, where the real show begins.
BackstageAxxess.com 2018 Kiss Expo with the one and only Jean Beauvoir. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How about you?
Good, good. And, you know, is this your first Kiss Expo?
It is, actually.
And I really want to get your take on this, because this is like, you know,
I know.
It's your first one, so.
It happened, you know, it was very last minute. They gave me a call and asked me. I was honored. It's great. You know, I love the boys. I just, you know, I'm a big Kiss fan for many years, and I think it's great. It's great that everybody gets together, the whole Kiss. It's like a real Kiss family. I think it's really great how, you know, loyal the fans are and everything.
And you have a huge history with Kiss, obviously. In the '80s, you worked with Paul, and you wrote a bunch of songs, All Night, Thrills in the Night, just to name a couple.
That's right. Who Wants to Be Lonely?
Who Wants to Be Lonely? And you played on a couple, based on a couple records.
That's right. That's right.
And Animalize and whatnot. Yeah. So, tell us how you originally got involved with Paul and how that relationship blossomed into writing and doing things with him.
Funny things. We met as friends. We were there was a club, and I want to make sure that this is the right club. I believe it was called Heartbreak. Okay. It was a club downtown. It was like an old diner.
In New York? My girlfriend probably knows that.
Heartbreak. This was a club where actors, musicians, everybody just went and kind of hung out.
Right.
Everybody. Drew Barrymore was a little girl. Her parents would bring her in, and she'd be on their shoulders dancing around the thing. And me, Paul, and all the, you know, actors, everybody used to hang out there. So one day, he just came over. He said, "Hey, you're the guy from the Plasmatics." And I said, "Hey, you're Paul Stanley." And then from that day, and then we started hanging out. We became friends. We just exchanged numbers. You know, hey, let's go see a movie. Let's go to dinner. There's a party and here, and that's all we did. Literally for probably 2 years before we actually, one day I was in his apartment, we were just hanging out, and he pulled out a guitar and said, "You know, I got this idea." And then boom, and then that's when we started writing. And it was really casual. You know, like I said, Chinese food, and you know, what was it? It's like, and that's it. We just started writing, a little 4-track, couple of acoustic guitars, and then you know, the friendship developed into also a working relationship, and we started writing things and trying different things, and that was it.
And
that's how it started.
Some of the biggest hits they obviously had were some of the songs you wrote on.
Well, thank you. I guess
some of the songs I really love. So, and I'm sure a lot of fans.
And we wrote a bunch of other things too. So we wrote, you know, we both liked kind of like soul music at the same time. We tried different things. We did some other demos that actually haven't been released. He wrote something on my record, Voodoo X. He wrote some things with me for my Crown of Thorns record. So we've probably written, besides the Kiss stuff, another, I don't know, 5 or 6 other songs, or maybe even more.
Do you have those, or does he have those?
We have. I think we both have them. I've got some on old cassettes. You know, so
is that ever going to see the light of day?
Let's see. You know, I was listening to one of them the other day. It was actually really good, called "Bee to the Honey." And it was like a dance song. It was really cool. It was like, yeah, we enjoyed writing together.
You still talk to Paul at all?
Yeah, I do. It's been a few months probably, or actually a little bit more, but
a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to speak about it. But it's a little bit different because we used to live in the same place. We both lived in New York. We both lived in LA together, so we'd hang out all the time. And then, you know, I moved to Europe, and you know how it happens with friends. Sometimes that you kind of just go, you know.
Let's talk about Jean Beauvoir, Rock Masterpieces Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so Volume 1's out now, correct?
Yes, Volume 2 is out too.
Okay, Volume 2 is out now?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about those.
Basically, those 2 albums, I just felt it was a good idea to kind of give people an idea of the different things I did. Because, you know, you got Crown of Thorns, Voodoo X, you got solo records, you got this. It's a lot of different stuff. So I said, let me do a sampler record, kind of. 2 records that basically, you know, have a little bit of everything. I remastered everything. They really sound great and powerful. Everything matched up really good, actually. So I've got like Feel the Heat, The Healer, something from Voodoo X, something from that. So somebody can, between those 2 records, they could really listen and say, okay, we get the whole picture of, you know, a pretty good picture of what Jean is all about.
And you're actually doing some dates too, correct?
I
You've been
did
doing some-
already.
okay.
I just came back from Germany. We just headlined the Heat Festival,
Right.
and then we're working on doing stuff for next year.
All
So
right.
that's it. Yeah.
And any dates? Nothing announced? For
Not
something?
as of
Okay.
yet. I would just
But you are.
Yeah, we are working on it. Actively working on
Okay.
it. Yeah.
And the Plasmatics, obviously everybody knows about the Plasmatics. I have to ask a question. Wendy O. Williams, tell us a story about Wendy that people may not know. You know, it doesn't have to be wild and crazy, but something like, you know, that somebody that doesn't know about Wendy out there. Because everybody knows the crazy stuff of what she used to do with the TVs and the cars and stuff. Tell us anything.
Oh,
It could
God.
be giving, it could be something that, you know, anything.
Well, you know, everybody thought Plasmatics were really a wild band. Everybody's doing
Right.
drugs and partying and stuff. That really wasn't the case. The band was the straightest band in the world. Wendy jogged 5 miles a day. She was a vegan, you know, as you know. She's a really hardworking girl. She was really dedicated, and but she was wild. Okay, here's a little story. Because actually, somebody just sent me a tape from K-Rock with Rodney Bingenheimer doing an interview with Wendy, and it was really cool because I kind of got to hear her voice again.
Okay.
You know, and I haven't
Right,
heard her
right,
voice in a long time, and I'm listening to her speak. And she was explaining about the chickens that we used to bring on tour with us. So we had one tour where we actually went and got these chickens, you know, before they went to the slaughter. It was from a slaughterhouse, but we extended their lives because we took them on tour with us. And literally named them and everything like that. They'd be on the tour bus with us and everything, and they'd be in the audience. She'd take the shotgun, she'd shoot up in the air. The chickens would all be up in the lighting truss.
Okay.
They'd fall down, not fall, they'd come down, and they'd run around the stage, and never got hurt. Nothing like that. The people would take them, put the chickens back on the stage and everything like that, and they're like our pets for the whole tour. And the way she talked about it was just so emotional. I was listening to her speak about it, and it reminded me about that tour and those chickens with us touring. I thought it was pretty funny. Just, you know, it sounded pretty serious. That's what we're talking about, chickens,
Right.
rock and roll chickens.
Who takes chickens on tour?
That's it, right? We gave him a
Yeah,
little extra
Williams,
life there, a
yeah.
little extra time, you know. That's it.
Not only the Plasmatics, I got to dip into the Ramones, obviously one of the greatest punk bands of all time, and you produced 2 records, Animal Boy being one.
Yes.
86, I believe, right? Or
Yeah, I
87,
did
somewhere
Animal
in there.
Boy, and then they brought me back.
Brain Drain, right?
No, Animal Boy, and then I did some things on Brain Drain.
Okay.
And they brought me back in for the singles. So I did Pet
Okay.
Cemetery
Okay.
and Merry Christmas for the Pet Cemetery for the film, the
Okay.
Stephen King film, of course.
Tell us about working with the Ramones.
It was great. You know, they're crazy.
Yeah,
I
a little bit?
You know, I'm a rebel. I like personalities, you know, and these guys really had personalities. Like Dee Dee, I love them. I miss him. I can just see him right now, just talking to me right now, just the way he was, his attitude. Jean, you know, I really need this, or whatever. You know, Joey was, you know, he loved strings, he loved emotional music, he loved certain. Johnny was a little bit harder, wanting to stick to one thing. So you had to navigate these waters as a
Right,
producer
right.
to try to keep them all happy. So you spend more time almost like a psychiatrist.
It's almost a coach,
That's
yeah.
right, exactly. than actually a
Right.
record producer.
Right.
So you know, so it was really interesting to work with them, and you really felt like a fifth member of that band.
Right.
And it's interesting to find out that now, like Pet Cemetery, I found out was like their biggest charting single. It went to number 4 on the charts, and it's the highest charting single the Ramones ever had. I didn't know that. And My Brain is Hanging Upside Down became a very important song that I co-wrote with them, you know, for their career. And so yeah, and yeah, they're up there. Maybe Wendy, Joey, Johnny all have their own band right now, and they're rocking up in the skies. But you know,
Let's talk about the living here. Us, and you know, talking about you and Rock Masterpieces, Volume 1, Volume 2, and then you said in 2019 you're going to be going back out on tour.
Yeah, I'm
Anything else you want to tell the fans out there? What you
Yeah,
got
I mean,
going on?
I'm working on a project right now. It's a little a back to the roots punk project.
Okay.
Actually,
Okay.
It's a record that I want to put together. Would have special guests. I'm not going to get too deep into it right now
Okay.
yet until everything's together. Have special guests on it, paying homage to the era and to my roots, where the whole thing just started. And that's something I'm working on right now, which hopefully.
Considering you have worked with some of the best musicians ever, talk about a possible book maybe.
Yes, I'm working on a book,
Yeah,
of
book.
course.
Okay,
Yes.
gotta do a book.
Okay,
Yeah,
you got me
gotta do a
to. I
book.
almost forgot
Gotta
about
do
my
it,
own
boy.
book. I'm working on a book.
Okay.
I am working on a book. So that hopefully sometime, beginning of next year.
Okay.
So something, the first book, I've got 2 books I'm working on. One is about my time with the Plasmatics, and then the other book is a life story book, but I think the Plasmatic books would be the first one to come out. The Plasmatics
So
book.
what are we looking? Are we looking next year or 2020?
I'm hoping for next year, but
Yeah.
publishers can take time,
Right,
and blah, 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 but I'd like to get it out next year to coincide with this record and everything else that I'm doing.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us at Backstage Access. And
It's my pleasure.
Look for Jean on tour
All
next
right.
year, 2019.
Yes, of course, of course.
Backstage Access, check it out.
All right, take care.